Welcome back to Filmmaster Reviews. I'm Adam J, bringing you my ranking of the Indiana Jones franchise. For future content on this channel, please click that like button and that subscribe button. When I was a kid, my dad owned the original Indiana Jones trilogy on VHS, and to say we wore out the tapes would be an understatement. Indiana Jones was a staple of my childhood, and it was a damn fun childhood growing up with that character and that original trilogy. Well, now we have two other films outside of that original trilogy, for better or worse, and we're gonna rank them all here today. And I'm not gonna lie, some of you are gonna be pissed. But regardless, here's my ranking of all 5 Indiana Jones films. You know, I called this movie a dumpster fire when I reviewed it last week, and if I'm being perfectly honest, I was being way too generous because there are not enough derogatory terms in the English language to describe this abomination of cinema. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny has everything wrong with modern cinema. A plot that feels like it's being made up as it goes along, a story that completely shits all over the ending of the previous film as well as the legacy of our main hero in general, an unlikable, absolutely despicable female protagonist, our main hero being shoved into the background for most of the movie to make way for unlikable, absolutely despicable female protagonist, horrendous de-aging effects, tedious action sequences that put me to sleep more than they excite me, an ending that makes it feel like nothing was fucking accomplished, side characters that do absolutely nothing but pad out the runtime. Dear God, there is nothing. There is not a thing redeemable in this damn movie. Guys, I won't lie. I saw the film a second time for this ranking, and it was even worse the second time. And to all the people trying to convince me that it's better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, oh, you guys just wait. I'll have more to say about that in a few minutes. In closing, Helena, fuck you. May an army of devils sing you to thy fiery hell, you miserable fucking bitch. Here's the thing. Like I said earlier, growing up, my dad had the original trilogy on VHS, but we rarely ever watched this one. We would usually pop in either Crusade or Raiders, so those are the two that I have the most nostalgia for. And even after seeing Temple of Doom as a kid, I always preferred Raiders and Crusade, so Temple of Doom was never going to beat them out. Not that I didn't enjoy Temple of Doom to some degree, but it never stuck with me like those other two. But why would I put this below Crystal Skull? Here's the reason. For all of you who absolutely adore this movie, and defend this movie, and say it's your favorite, here's the thing. You always use the same things to defend it. Okay, you use the darker tone, the scary as hell villains, the minecart chase over the lava, that awesome bridge scene, you betrayed Shiva, the hearts being ripped out, the people burning alive over lava, all that cool dark shit that's in the movie. And every time I've heard those defenses, I've said to myself, you know, those people are right. All that shit is awesome. So why don't I like this as much as Crusade, Raiders, or even Crystal Skull? Guys, literally everything you love this movie for and defend this movie for is all in the second half of it. The first half of this movie fucking sucks. You have an opening scene that is only memorable because it feels like Indiana Jones stepped into an episode of Looney Tunes. Seriously, Lao Che was so damn cartoony you might as well have had Elmer Fudd dubbing his voice. You keep the girl, I find another. Then it's nonstop boredom for like the next 45 minutes until we get to the temple and all the cool shit happens. Everything leading up to the temple is just a slog. And don't get me wrong, the second half of this movie is awesome and entirely badass and does reward your patience tenfold. But dear God, that was a lot of fucking patience to be had. And if you're wondering why I haven't ripped into Willie yet, listen, let's just be fair here. Yes, Willie can be annoying, but after suffering through this bitch, you know what, Willie? We're good. We're good. If anything, you're a damn step up now. As far as I'm concerned, you're Marion compared to that bitch. So yeah, I'm sorry. As much as I enjoy Temple of Doom, at the end of the day, it's only half a great movie to me. So we finally arrived at Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the movie I see at the very bottom of most people's lists, even after Dial of Destiny's release, which I frankly find quite sad. I'm going to spend a little extra time on this one because I've wanted to talk about it for a while, but before I get into that, let's talk about the things that I won't be defending. I may love Ray Winstone, but the movie felt like it couldn't figure out what the hell to do with Mac. He is entertaining at times, but the whole double agent, oh wait, I lied, I'm not a double agent thing, just felt awkward as hell. There are some moments of CGI that don't hold up too well, and some moments where you look at the screen and go, how the hell are you not dead? The surviving a nuclear bomb in the fridge scene was beyond stupid. I don't care if the fridge was lead lined, his body would have been jello just based on the length he was thrown from the blast. Although, to be fair, this shot of Indy looking at the mushroom cloud is pretty fucking awesome. Lastly, Shia LaBeouf swinging with monkeys, yeah, it's pretty stupid. That being said, there is a lot more to like in this movie than there is to hate. Going back to what I was saying about the fridge scene, yes, surviving that is impossible. Guess what? So is surviving falling off a cliff in a fucking tank. So is that stupid-ass raft scene. So is Willie being so close to the lava in Temple of Doom and not burning to a cinder. And I'm sorry, I'm sure if you deconstructed Raiders a bit, you could find even more implausible shit Indy has survived. This is absolutely nothing new to this series. But what's okay about it is that these moments are few and far between, and are used incredibly sparingly. If they were happening, say, every 5 minutes like a Fast and Furious sequel, I'd have an issue. But to me, as dumb as the fridge moment is, and it is no better or no worse than any of the other implausible shit Indy has survived at this point. I mean, hell, it could have been worse. You could have had him getting shot multiple times at 80 years old and taking each shot like a light breeze. Jesus fuck, dude, at least say ow. A lot of people like to complain about, oh, aliens have no place in Indiana Jones. Heresy, I say. So, you people are really gonna tell me, in a world where Indy can survive all this dumb shit, in a world where time travel now exists, in a world where Christianity, Judaism, and Hinduism are all the right religion, in a world where people can have their hearts ripped out and still survive somehow, in a world where a black woman apparently works for Nazis, and that was so stupid I didn't even mention it in my review, aliens are a step too far? Really? Fucking really?
Right.
I really liked how they tied the aliens and crystal skulls together. Crystal skulls are a real thing. They've been discovered all around the world. No one really knows their origin, and at the time they were found, one of the theories behind them was aliens. So I thought it was clever of George Lucas to use something that actually exists in the world to tie into this new mythology. Very much like he did in the first 3 films. He didn't have to make up some stupid-ass dial created by Archimedes or some shit like these new assholes did. Also, I know a lot of people like to complain about the look of the aliens in the film, but I wouldn't have them any other way. All the Indiana Jones movies, sans this abortion, have been inspired by old-school action movie serials. Well, if you're setting this one in the 50s, it makes more sense to go with the 50s Roswell approach and portray aliens how they were thought to look in the 50s. This is how we portrayed aliens back then. So having them designed like that here, in a movie inspired by B-movies of that time period, makes perfect sense. In terms of story, this feels like classic Indiana Jones. We have an awesome opening scene, where we learn that the warehouse from Raiders is actually Area 51, that was pretty cool, and Indy gets to be Indy, kicking ass and fighting the bad guys, and, oh, by the way, they didn't need to use horrendous de-aging effects to make it work either. The plot constantly builds on itself, leading to the climax. There's some kick-ass action, a fight through the Amazon, a fun motorcycle chase, a lot of globe-trotting and treasure hunting. This is the kind of shit I see an Indiana Jones movie for. And I especially liked the ending of Indiana finding happiness with Marion, by far the best female protagonist in the series, and I even like the revelation of Mutt being his son with Marion. Mutt gets a lot of shit, but he's actually a damn good character overall, and yes, I do buy him as Indy's son. Look at Indy's relationship with his father in Last Crusade. Were the two of them the same in personality? No, but you still bought the dynamic. There was enough similarities and differences where you could buy they were father and son, and I feel the same way regarding Indy and Mutt. Mutt shows throughout the movie to be smart, quick on his feet, and sometimes hot-headed like Indy, but he's also independent, no-nonsense, and impetuous, much like Marion. If you ask me, he's the perfect embodiment of both parents, and Shia LaBeouf does a fine job in the role. So as a whole, despite the few things that don't work, Crystal Skull is a damn solid movie. Now, I had a friend tell me the other day that Dial of Destiny was better than this film, and that bad CGI aside, at least Dial of Destiny didn't have Shia LaBeouf swinging with monkeys. Okay, let me explain something to you. Any day of the week, I will take 2 minutes of Shia LaBeouf swinging with monkeys over 2 hours of listening to Phoebe Waller-Bridge shittle over Indy. I will take Indy getting nuked in a fridge over horrendously bad de-aging effects. I will take the film not knowing what to do with Mac's character over the slew of nothing characters in Dial of Destiny. In retrospect, there is literally nothing Crystal Skull did bad that Dial of Destiny didn't do exponentially worse. As far as I'm concerned, Crystal Skull is a perfectly fun, action-packed legacy sequel, and is where my headcanon for the character officially ended. This was the film that gave us Indy for the first time, and it was nothing short of glorious. Raiders has arguably the best opening scene in the series. It is probably the grittiest of the series. I mean, you feel every damn punch this guy takes. And that's really something else I want to touch upon. What made Indy so cool, especially in those first 4 films, was that he was vulnerable. He could get hurt. In fact, he gets his ass kicked a lot in these movies, especially this one, because at the end of the day, he's an archaeologist, he's not an MMA fighter. It really made the character feel more human. It's very much like what Die Hard did for John McClane. But what makes Raiders stand out as a film isn't just the vulnerability of the hero. It's the perfectly shot action scenes, the glorious practical effects, the best female companion of the series, and who I consider to be the best Indy villain, Belloc, played by Paul motherfucking Freeman. This guy just owns it whenever he is on screen. Paul Freeman was a superb actor, and for the record, this was not the only villain of his that I watched during my childhood.
Your feebleness is staggering.
You obviously need a vacation. I think circumstances force us to choose a new leader. And I pick me.
Yes, Ivan Ooze is Belloc. I mean, guys, come on, even if you don't like Power Rangers, that's still pretty fucking cool, right? Belloc is essentially a dark mirror of Indy himself. He does everything Indy does, but does it for himself, as opposed to preserving history. This ultimately becomes his downfall when he can't resist doing the Ark ritual, and gets himself and the rest of the Nazis killed. And really, that leads me to why this movie is at number 2 and not at number 1. And I'm gonna get so much shit for this. I have never liked the ending of this movie. Indy does nothing in the entire climax of the film, and it feels beyond anticlimactic. Don't get me wrong, it's memorable. You won't forget the ending once you've seen it, but I wish Indy had more to do. When all is said and done, I mean, what bearing did he have on the outcome of this story? If he hadn't been there, the Nazis would have stolen the medallion from Marion, found the Ark in the right place, opened the Ark, and all died just like they did. I'm sorry, that's a serious flaw with this movie, guys. It doesn't make it any less iconic or awesome, but it is a flaw and should be acknowledged as such. Regardless of how you look at it, though, Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the most iconic and kick-ass action films of all time, and for good reason. From the day I saw this movie for the first time, it was instantly one of my favorites. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, in my opinion, took just about everything Raiders did and made it better. The MacGuffin was more interesting, Indy plays a more significant role in the story and its outcome, the stakes are higher for Indy with his father's life on the line by the end of it. This felt like a more personal, character-driven movie for Indiana Jones, and for my money, it makes the film a lot more interesting. Now, I will admit, the opening in Raiders is better, but the opening here is still great, showcasing how Indy at a young age became the Indy we know and love. I'll also say Belloc is a bit more interesting than Donovan, but where Donovan excels is in the climax when he shoots Indy's father, which forces Indy to do what he wants. Indy can refuse to get the Grail, but it would mean his father's death. It's what makes Donovan stand out. He can't outfight you, but he can outthink you. I love how high the stakes are in this climax, and I love the trials Indy goes through to get the Grail to save his father's life. The Knight, the Word of God, the Leap of Faith, all of it is awesome. I'll also say that while Marion Ravenwood is still my favorite female companion in these films, Dr. Schneider was still pretty damn cool. But the best thing about this movie is the dynamic between Indy and his father, played by the OG James Bond himself, Sean Connery. I don't care if they were only 12 years apart in age in real life. I totally buy that Indiana Jones's father is James fucking Bond. That is awesome. And the chemistry between Connery and Harrison Ford is wonderful. You buy their relationship, you buy their dynamic, and these two are hilarious together. The "Don't Call Me Junior" scene cracks me up every damn time. But probably the best scene with these two is when his father saves him at the end, simply by calling him Indiana. He spent his whole life looking for the Grail, but at the end realized that the thing he valued most was his son. It's so powerful when he tells Indy to just let it go, after so many years of searching for the damn thing. It's such a beautiful moment. The action is the best in the series, the cast is the most well-rounded of the series, the score is the best of the series, and in my opinion, it features Harrison Ford's best portrayal of the title character. Now, in case you couldn't tell from all the defending I did for it, I do like Crystal Skull, but had the series ended here, had it ended with Last Crusade with them all riding into the sunset, I'd have been perfectly content. Indiana Jones and Last Crusade is by far my favorite Indiana Jones film, it's not even a contest. So how would you rank the indie films? Please let me know in the comments, and please subscribe if you'd like to see more.